Good morning and welcome back to the Opportunistic Trader for October 22nd, Monday. I hope everybody had a nice weekend. Good trading week last week for us over here. Hope that the volatility stays up. Thought that was going to be the case last night at 6 o'clock when the S&P futures opened down 10 handles and proceeded down 13.5 handles and a mini panic, and everything looked like it was going to go back down to those lows at 27.13. I'm sorry. And all of a sudden, China decided to fake rally another 4% last night. So China rallied 4, saving all markets around the world. Asia was up anywhere from 4 to Hong Kong being up 2 to Japan being up like 0.5%. That turned our markets overseas. In Europe, the markets are higher, 50 basis points. I do believe the market looks really bad. They may try to hold it today. If they don't hold today, though, this could be really telling. Big earnings week. I think 30% of all S&P 500 companies are reporting this week. The big ones are Amazon, Microsoft, Intel, Google, half of the FAANG, and then it keeps going until the beginning of November where you get Apple as well. So overall, markets are up 11 handles on the S&P, 60 handles on the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is about 110 handles from the low last night, and the high to low is about 125 handles. Today is interesting, though, because today, if we do fail, it's over. It's going to be full-out correction, full-out, I wouldn't call it panic, but full-out selling. Today they have China saving the market, so we'll have to see how everything goes. We could look at the straddle. Straddle is pricing somewhere around $18, $19, so it's pricing decent move. We'll keep an eye on that during the day. Stocks in general in the FANG are up anywhere from 50 to full percent, 50 basis points to a full percent. Volatility index is down about 4% overnight, 4.73%. It would have been interesting to see where VIX actually would have been if we traded down. We were trading at 49.75, I think was the low last night in the S&P future. If we were trading in the 50 handle, I think vol would be about 23 right now. So what a difference 20 handles makes. I don't know why it does, but it does. So the difference between being up 10 and being down 10 is pretty big. But today is critical. I think today's action will be interesting at the very minimum. See if we can hold this 11 handle gain. I noticed reading through some stuff, Gartman got bearish. He thinks we're going down 15%. So I don't know if it'll happen. I think we're in the same camp, which is never a good thing. But overall, markets are slightly higher, 11 higher, but much better than last night. DAX is about 70 higher, and overall the straddles are pricing 20, so we're expecting a move. The bonds are interesting. They're actually catching a bid. Not really quite sure why. And oil in this reversal of 25 SPU handles or more, or actually 30 SPU handles basically, oil is actually negative. So there's a negative spin on oil here. And looking at the currency markets overall, the dollar is mostly stronger, but it's very, very slight. It's funny, every time I look at this British pound, it's at 130. I mean, sometimes it goes to 132, sometimes it goes to 128, but it's been pinned. I don't honestly know how currency traders can make a dime. I think they got to trade fake news and all these other currencies, because the euro's at 115 and it's always figure around 115. The Canadian dollar is usually 130, 130.90. So all these markets are sort of in the same place. Gold had a little bit of a rally last week away from the 1200 area there. Got up to about 1235, and now it's back at a 1223. Really in no man's land. Not seeing a lot. Vince is not with us this morning. He will be in the chat, but I'd like to hear his thoughts potentially on what he thinks in that market. And overall, there's nothing really standing out too much. The only thing that to me is standing out is we're going to have an up opening. Now it's down to about 10 handles. We have to see if these markets can hold right here, but they don't feel good. But again, that could change on a dime. But mostly today is all this emerging markets. The FXI is up 3%, actually trailing a little bit of the move in China, which is interesting because that's the large cap Chinese stocks, not up as much as the index. And overall, there's not really much moving. Amazon's up 17. That's, almost bid to offer to unchanged on pre-open. I mean, there's nothing in there. We are in critical levels, though. That's the one thing that I will say is, it's going to be hard to bounce out of here. We have to see what transpires, both with earnings, which is starting really this week, more towards the middle to end of the week, though, so not going to get a good read on that. As far as oil, that's trending lower. I would like to buy it, but it just doesn't seem right. It seems like something's wrong in the front contract's going off the board. So once that goes off the board, it'll give you a bit of a more true trade. The bond's trading above 138 again. So yields are sort of contained. So it's not really a yield story. It's funny, though. I was getting called from some newspapers in Asia at the end of last week, and they were like, kept saying, is this a yield story? Is this a yield story? And I didn't think it really is. I think that it's really a valuation story, and it's really a story of the fact that the market at this point, well, it rallied, so it's up like 3.5% on the S&P and about a little under 3 on the Dow. But if we open down, if we go down 20, 30 handles, you're up 2, and then all of a sudden you're up 1, you're up nothing. And people will be down money because these levels haven't been seen since earlier in the year, much earlier in the year. So the bottom line is nobody's a winner, and when nobody's a winner, you could get a little bit of panic. But overall, the stocks are holding up okay. Coming into earnings, it's funny. One of my favorite stocks that I always look at is Walt Disney, and that actually has been trading really well, and it's about $120 a share, which is on the higher level. I don't think that's really market impactful, but we always keep our eye on different equities, and that's been a good one. Micron is literally on the lows of the move at $40 a share. 40.60 to be exact, and that looks like it may trend a little bit lower into their earnings. It may be a buy after that. And overall, the market looks kind of quiet, up 9.75, but we'll see on the opening what transpires, because today is a an interesting one, and we'll keep an eye on that. Who's on tap today, Mike?
We're speaking with Phil Flynn at 10 o'clock, and then we are speaking with Angie Setzer on Ags at 12:30. Tomorrow, like I mentioned last week, we have a pretty interesting presentation coming up from Top Step Trader. Top Step funds hundreds of traders each year, and so they're going to be joining us, and they're going to be talking about what they see in terms of what it takes to become a successful trader, what they see typical pitfalls of traders that kind of fall into some trouble, things like that. So, they see tons of different traders. So they have a pretty interesting perspective. They see the analytics, when traders start trading well, bad, different sort of trading environments, how people trade. So they're going to be joining us tomorrow at 11.
That should be interesting.
Yeah, and then so it's interesting markets right now when you think about it. Last week, like you just mentioned, the straddle right now is $18-19 for the day. 2 months ago or a month ago, the straddle was probably be $8 or $7.50. So we have higher volatility. That said, last week we were all over the place, but markets finished pretty close to unchanged in the equity markets, U.S. equity markets, that is. So while we have been moving around, we kind of stabilized a bit. European markets are up only a little bit right now. Actually, Italy's just turned negative, but DAX is up about 0.5%. FTSE's up about 0.5%. Like you said, Asia kind of got saved last night. They opened lower and really wasn't looking good. And then there's some news about the stimulus program possibly coming out of China, tax cuts possibly coming out of China. We still have all this Saudi news. That is, we're still getting headlines about that, and so that's yet to be determined what's actually going to happen there. But it is interesting taking a look at yields. Yields, the 10-year right now is down about 2 basis points. We're trading 318.5. The 30-year is at 336. So we'll keep a close eye on that. Because like you said, the initial narrative a few weeks ago when we started moving lower was, this is a yield move. Yields is really what's driving this, but we haven't had really any move in yields in about 3 weeks, 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, everything I read this weekend was yields aren't going to 3.5; they're going to 4.5. So they're not stopping. The mantra's really bearish. The trade is probably caught, short bonds, and yields have stabilized and are going higher.
What's interesting is that, even last week, the markets were finished relatively quiet, but we had large ranges in the equity markets. But if you take a look at the past 3 weeks, U.S. yields have been in a very tight range. As you mentioned before, currency markets, G10 currency vol is almost at like a 8-year low right now. G10 is just doing nothing. There have been some emerging market moves this year and recently. You take a look at dollar Turkey, a fair amount of dollar EM, dollar strength in there. Dollar MEX has been all over the place, but G10 has really done nothing. Gold market, we finally got a move up to 1230, and we had that big $35 day. And we've done nothing now in the past 10 trading days. We're hovering right now. We're down $2.80 at 12.25 or 12.26.
Listen, the computers can't move every day; they'll blow up. So it's it's funny in the equity market. It just shuts down. Like you could see the computer trade on the panic. There was panic about a week and a half ago in S&P, and now like you said, the S&P was actually slightly higher last week, and the Dow was up. So we actually, in a week that looked like death, we were actually positive, which makes no sense. We will take this low at 27.13. I just don't know when. I don't know if it's going to be this afternoon. I don't know if it's going to be Wednesday, but this low is going to be taken out. The correction will continue. I'm not saying we're not going to have some rallies in here. That's what you got to sidestep. But overall, the mantra to me is negative on the tape. We're going to trade that way. We're going to pick our spots. We've been nimble. I don't know what what our trades were last week exactly. I don't know if you calculated that, but it was probably another good trading week for us. We're expecting the same thing again this week. I don't see anything that really stands out in my mind. I'd like to be a seller of this opening. I'm not going to do anything yet. See how these stocks go, but if the futures get down another $4 or $5, I'd be a seller. I'd like to sell a little bit of weakness. Overall, looking around my board, I don't see anything on a Monday morning that looks so exciting to jump into.
Honestly, other than Shanghai, it almost seems like a really, really quiet, like summer sort of Monday. It is not a whole lot going on
definitely
right
not
now.
summer. Today is Black Monday, even though doesn't fall on the same day. Happened on Friday, but this is Black Monday. Happened on October 19th. It's the 22nd. I think, is it 30 or 30? 31 years ago. 31. 31 years ago. So we're very calm right now. I don't think it ends that way. I don't see a trade. I'm surprised oil is weak into an up S&P 10 handle opening, but I'm not gauging too much from that. Natural gas failed again for the millionth time and back down to 315. It never goes anywhere. That thing is like a pig. It just seems like everyone gets excited about it and then it never goes anywhere. So that thing is contained. And
how do you think the best way to play, because you've been talking about for a few days now, you think that low will be taken out again. So what do you think is the best way to position for that? Is it through buying a call and just being short, or is it through kind of the way you have been trading, take 10 points here, 10 points there?
No, I think that you can't, the bottom line is you want to lean short so you could sell some call spreads, for today potentially, depending, or you could, there's a lot of different ways to play. You could sell futures and buy calls, and this way you're protected. You could do that out a week, gives you a lot more time. You could buy puts or buy a put spread. There's a lot of different ways. The only problem is there's, you have to be so right on timing, and it's very, very difficult. That's why it's so much better to sell 79s and buy 69s and do that as many times as you can, because that's a better trade. And the moves like last Wednesday, that was a great move. We moved 50 handles. You get those once every, now you're getting them once every couple of weeks or once a month. Before you were getting it once a year. So, you got to take what the market can give you. So, my best thoughts on this would be to day trade, scalp the market. If you want to be short and you're not so sure, like now you could sell like the 90.05 call spread for $3.50, and you're pretty protected up to 93 on the futures, which gives you 15 handles of room from here. That's a really good spread, but you're going to take in is $3.30. And that you have to wait all day for. Whereas when you're scalping, you could be in and out of these trades for 3 and 5 and 7 and 10 handles plus. So to answer the question, I think scalping or trading around the market on a day over day basis is the best way to play it. If you're a little bit more medium term and you think the move is happening, I would buy call options, for Friday and short futures, or, put on a put spread that's pretty wide, 20 points wide, for maybe $3 or $4 to capture $15, $16. But the best way is to have the move in outrights. Outrights are always the easiest. So, we're going to stick to that. I don't see a lot. I'm surprised oil's down. I want to buy it, but I'm staying away from it. We have nothing on right now. We're watching. The commodity sector is down slightly. There's not a lot going on other than the S&P being up and the Nasdaq being up 60. So we'll keep an eye on all of that, and we'll be in the chat room all day, giving out our thoughts and information.
Yeah, so we'll be back at 10 o'clock with Phil. At about 9 o'clock, we'll have Joe Vaklovek's Ag overnight overview. And then, Larry will be back in the chat talking, because I'm sure there will be some moves. That's what we've been, especially with this 19 vol here, and that's with vol down 5%. So, we'll be back in for some question answers, probably closer to 11 or so. We'll be back to you guys around then. Anything else?
Okay. No, everything's good. Probably come back slightly before the opening, give opening thoughts, and if anything happens, we'll go on the air and let you know what's going on.
All right.
Good luck, everyone.